losing my father was not a big ticket item. I wasn't old enough to understand it, right? The first time I realized that my stepdad wasn't my father, and this sounds stupid, right? I'm a brown kid, but the first time I realized that my white ass stepdad was not my father, I was about 7 years old. And I was shocked. But at the same time, I was like, oh, well, then who was my father? And then I went into this place where it's like, oh, I had two dads, like a dad that I lived with and a dad that I never knew and whatever else. That was a little bit more of an inspiring moment. But really the childhood moment that kind of defined me in a lot of ways, I was about 12 years old, and I was arguing with my stepdad, like all teenagers do with their step-parents. And I went to my mom to try to get some comfort, to try to get some support. And I was like, Mom, Dad he's wrong. He's being unfair. This expectation is a double standard, because I have two half sisters that are his children, and they get a different rule than what I have as the other child. It's not fair. And my mom looked at me and she was like, I'm not going to help you on this. I love your dad more than I love you.
Holy shit. No way she said that.
She did. And
at 7?
At 12.
12. Fuck.
And she was like, and here's why. Because every day I wake up and I have to choose to love him. But I'm always going to love you. You're my child. It's automatic.
That's a strange way to put that.
Right?
Like it's a powerful second half. The first half is
Fucked
about
up.
as big a kick in the nuts. Like probably not how I would have said that to a child, but
it defined me, man. Absolutely defining moment. Wow. Because in that moment, I realized, one, I can't trust my parents. I can't trust them. She doesn't love me more than she loves anybody else. I don't know where I land. I thought this whole time she loved me at least equally. Yeah. But she doesn't. So I can't trust these fucking people. And if I can't trust these people, I can't trust anybody. Yeah. So, I mean, I still strongly believe that I was successful at CIA because I learned to stop trusting everybody at like 12. But then second, it was that moment that I was like, I am never doing this to my children. Yeah. I am going to have children. Fucking come hell or high water. I will have children with a woman I love, and I will make certain that every fucking day of my life, those kids know that there is nothing I put above them. Wow. Nothing. And I remember when I first met my wife and I told her this story, because she came from a very healthy, loving family that was fucked up in different ways. But I told her that story and she was like, I hope you don't ever feel like that. Like we should never feel like we have to love our children less than we love each other, or that effort has any role to play in love. So I kind of knew she was the right woman then. Yeah. But especially now to this day, like, that's why it's one of the reasons we chose to homeschool. It's a huge part of why I chose to start my own business. It's why my business is an online digital business. I've built everything around my children. I left CIA to build a family. So the last thing I'm going to do now is fail to meet that moment in history for me.
Yeah. It's amazing the inspiration, the generational inspiration that people get from moments like that, but how they kind of carry over in some ways, and in some ways, like your wife, it sounds like there are people, I'm not saying her, but there are people that maybe take that for granted. They don't know that a situation like that is even possible. Like even for me, like hearing that, it's like, holy shit. Because I came from a pretty similar family to your wife, it sounds like, where it was like, leave it to Beaver. It was like, nobody ever fought. Like, I mean, it was just almost sickeningly amicable, I mean, and it wasn't until I was older where I realized how fortunate I was. But that's kind of the thing, is that if you grow up with that and you don't even know any different, like, I think sometimes that can lead to not doing as right by your kids because you took it for granted and didn't realize how intentional your parents were in not making it that way. And then, it builds into something like that, and then that forces that child to do way, way better. And it's like this weird roller coaster of outcomes. But man, that's some powerful shit.